Yeah, I'm relaxed. Cool. Okay, it's cool. The quality for this first 5 seconds are going to be shit. I apologize to anyone watching. It should settle down. But yeah, let's just pick up where we left off. So we're talking about ways we've been trying to keep busy during the lockdown. I'm trying to learn Spanish right now.
Okay.
Yeah, hablo español muy bien. But there's a few. If it wasn't for that and doing some exercise, I would have gone crazy like in a week.
hmm
Like these little things, like doing. I've got like a heavy bag, rucksack. I put like tins in and books, and I do chin ups and dips and stuff.
It's quite
So
creative.
yeah, well, I've seen it. That's what Athlete X does on YouTube. Shout out. So that's honestly that and the Spanish is like the only thing that's keeping me going, man. What about you?
Right now, I've been working on a few things actually. To begin with, I've started meditating again, and I found that that can actually be quite helpful in relation to keeping your mental health quite good within these troubled times. For instance, as you know, we don't have contact with many people at the moment, and we can't really go out because of social distancing rules. But if we meditate, we remain our we retain our sanity. Reading also helps. Many people within this time, I believe, are probably utilizing this time in a relatively poor manner. They're wasting it, binge watching Netflix shows. But if you if you use it, I think if you utilize it productively and you utilize it to better yourself, when you
Yeah.
get out of this scenario that we're in, you'll be in a way better place. Do you agree?
Uh, yeah. I agree. Partially agree. I do feel like for some people though, because I've sort of felt this at the beginning. I was all like, "Let's work hard, get everything done." But I also feel like as this has lingered on, I felt like I just need to get by, get through the days, and then come out the other side good. I mean, don't waste your time. Don't just binge Netflix. But if that's what right now, like, especially when you're uni, like, there's no uni work I've been doing. Like, things have kind of stopped. Like, if people need to take this time, especially people who've worked 9 to 5 for 30 years, like, they need to take a week. That's fine. Just do, you know. But the thing is, if to be honest, if you binge watch Netflix too much, that becomes boring itself.
hmm
But yeah, I guess I haven't been, even though I've been relaxed and I have been doing stuff, keeping exercising every day and learning Spanish, and obviously we had our exams beforehand.
hmm
Are we gonna we're gonna talk about the exams and how annoyed I am with my finance exam? I guess we can leave that.
Yeah, we might as well go into it, man.
We
See
can
what.
leave that. We could use this as a platform to just like get a slander suit against the finance against the finance lecturers. But anyone who did finance, you understand that that exam was awful. Like it said 8 hours exam, and he gave like 12 questions, and they were all like A B C's as well. So like I don't know how
Were
many
they
questions we did.
were they long questions or were they
So
like multiple
a
choice?
mix of long and short. But the thing about the essay questions is it says like for every mark you want to do half a page. So like it's five
Okay.
marks. So 6 essay questions, all about 3 pages each. That's a lot, or whatever. That's a lot of that's insane amount of work. Like, there's only so much work people can do in a day. And I was up from 10 a.m. that day, and I didn't go to bed till 3. And I saw people on. I know people who've gone longer than that. So that
Yeah,
exam was awful.
I think I think Max was telling me that it was taking a huge amount of time for him as well. He started relatively early in the morning, but then when he finished, it was like late at night, and that just consumed like a large proportion of his time.
A lot. That was the whole day. That was
Yeah,
the
but
whole day.
I suppose it's only a one-time thing, man. It's you don't have to do it too regularly, so it shouldn't be that bad.
It was just like the other exams weren't like that. Like the econ exams and the stats exams, they weren't like that. They were a bit more reasonable. I still spent a large portion of the day working on them, but they were more reasonable. But anyway, is there anything and so you mentioned meditation. I just because I was usually a pretty consistent meditator, to be
hmm
honest. Like especially when I'm busy at uni, I was doing it every day.
Okay.
But I've kind of been off and on recently. But I just recently downloaded Headspace, and I actually bought the premium, which is like £5 a month. And I'm hoping to do that every day. Like I did a 10-minute thing this morning, so I'm hoping to get back into that because I just saw a video by What I've Learned, the YouTube channel. You've probably seen it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
That guy's really good. And he did a video all about meditation and how it's like makes your brain closer towards flow state and away from the default mode of the brain, or like it basically reduces your brain activity and you stop overthinking everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has some crazy good effects like reducing neurodegeneration as you age.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
It's a big deal. That's a big deal, man. Like the fact they proved that, you know, is ridiculous. But meditation is the thing that everyone says they do, but no one actually does it.
That's true, man. I've noticed that a lot.
It's like if you talk about 1984, the book, everyone pretends they've read it. You know, the George Orwell books. Everyone pretends they've read those books, and most of them haven't. But yeah, meditation's great, man. It's funny because everyone in Brighton has like a Buddha, but no one actually meditates. Well, no, it's like a very hip thing to have a Buddha. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm very cultured. I cannot get comfortable in this chair. So like everyone has everyone's all cultured about that, but no one actually meditates. You know. But I thought that was quite funny. But it's interesting, like the different. Well, how do you meditate?
I know there are many different types of meditation that you can actually do, but the one that I'm focusing on at the moment is breathing meditation. So what you typically tend to do is just spend a few seconds, just calm down, breathe out through your nose, and then breathe in through your mouth. And once you've done that, you continually try to focus on that for a certain amount of time. Let's say you want to do it for 5 minutes, that's okay. Want to do it for 10 minutes, that's okay. Or you may want to do it for 20 minutes or longer. That obviously comes with experience and with time. But I usually, since I'm new to it and I'm trying to build that habit back up, since I've left it for a while, like you say, I'm kind of just doing 15 minutes and then building it back up. And then once I've noticed that when I do it, I usually stick to like focusing on the breathing. But then after a while, I kind of just, for today, for instance, my thoughts were just drifting off and drifting away from focusing on my breath. Instead, I was focusing on, I wonder what the podcast is going to be like. I wonder what topics we're going to discuss. I wonder how everything's going to be. Is it going to turn out okay? And I noticed that as soon as I notice that, then I have to bring my attention back to breathing. And so that, like you say, it's got a whole host of benefits, and I think it would be helpful for everyone.
It's funny you should. I just thought about Craig now. I mean, okay, if anyone, basically, we're trying to record our podcast through Discord, and this is way of recording your Discord call by adding in like this robot called Craig, and it weren't working. We've honestly, like, we're meant to record this. It's about 4:20 right now. We're meant to record this at 3:00.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an hour and a half after. Like, my phone or my computer, is it recording? Is it not recording? Like, this has been absolutely ridiculous. So it's really nice to be up and running. We don't actually have a name for this podcast, do we?
No, we need to come up with one, I think.
If anyone's got leave it down below. I don't know if this is going to be on YouTube or down below, whatever. You know.
Craig's going to be our main viewer.
Oh yeah, we're guaranteed to get one view because Craig will be in the call. You know, that's why like we could live stream in the future, but you understand we'd get 0 viewers if we live streamed it, or maybe 1 viewer. Like, also I don't even know how you do that. I could probably figure it out, but I'd worry about if we had more people watching to do that first. But okay, I've got an interesting thing to talk about. I watched a video yesterday by this guy. It was a good video, and he talked all about like the dark side of self-improvement.
Okay.
And how like because me and you have both had very pro self-improvement, but like there are problems with, not intrinsically with self-improvement itself, but the way some people approach it. So the guy was talking about how like a lot of people, they'll read a self-improvement book and they'll get that feeling of accomplishment and motivation from that, but like, and they'll feel good, but then they haven't actually achieved anything from that. So and I've always thought that people read all these self-help books, but then they don't actually apply the information in their own life. They just read the book, go, oh, that's cool, and then get on with their life the same way they've been doing for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually truly incorporate into their behavior in their life, because people like read a book a week, read a books every day or whatever, or every few days. It's like I read like a book every month or something, or every 2 weeks, because when I read a book, I was like, I really want to actually think about it and apply it to my own life before I move on to the next book. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree with you. Many people would read, or something that I've definitely caught myself doing is reading a self-help book, but then I usually don't actually apply it to my life. And once I actually started doing this, I noticed that I was reading like a huge quantity of self-help books, but then I wasn't applying any of them to my life.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the mindsets that I hold now, it's like you say, it's quality over quantity. It's really what you apply and the improvement that it makes to your life. Because if you don't apply knowledge, then that knowledge, you're just hoarding knowledge, and that knowledge then, because of that, becomes useless. All knowledge that isn't applied is useless knowledge, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. Like, like the How to Win Friends and Influence People, right, by Dale Carnegie, one of the most read books ever, most bought books ever. It's like a lot of people have read that book, but how many people take that information, become more, improve their social skills like significantly from that? I don't think as many people do that. Like stuff like that, especially because there are different types. Sometimes there are self-help books when you learn, and the point is to learn, and that's okay. You just read it, but the ones where it's talking about changing the way you think and changing your habits and the way you live, it's like, it takes a month, was it 30 days at least to build a habit? So the idea that you could read a book and then just instantly be different is ludicrous. You should, if anything, read a few pages today, think about it, try to apply it, and then come back. You almost dip in and out. And even when I finished a book, I've never really finished a book, because I always come back for a reference, just to reread it, because you feel like there's something to learn.
That's always a good idea. Like highlighting it, making notes, because you always want to refer back to it, right? There'll always be things that you hadn't originally understood that you understand now because of the fact that you're looking at it from a different perspective.
All right.
That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's what do you think about potentially the struggles for the lockdown at the moment?
I think, do you mean, are we talking about physiological? Are we talking about psychological?
You can do both. To be honest, probably more. I think the problems are more psychological than physiological for people anyway. Mm-hmm. Well, both, but the lack of physiological movement is affecting us.
That's true. There's definitely a mind-body connection. So if you'd like I could cite studies on this, but I don't remember exactly the studies.
Fine,
so I think if you look this up online, you will find numerous studies referring to the mind-body connection and referring to the positive correlation between the two. For instance, if you are looking after your body, it's highly probable that your mind is also going to be in a good state because of that. If you're not looking after your body, then that means that it's likely that your mind is also not being cared for and looked after as well. So definitely look after your physiological health, I'd say. But if you would like to look after your psychological health, then I'd say socializing with people regularly is a good thing.
That's the thing, mate.
Meditating.
That's the thing, because I'm a very extrovert person. I like being around people most of the time. So this is a real struggle. Even talking on the phone to a mate, I feel so much better after 20 minutes talking to a friend than I did before. There's actually a real struggle with this lockdown, because I feel very trapped, and it's just harder to be, because if I'm working hard at uni, got other hobbies, I like to stay very busy. I'm at uni, I have my part-time job, I'm doing other hobbies, the gym, societies. I like to keep very busy. So this is just completely the opposite. It's like nothing to do, or not as much to do. The responsibilities aren't there, and people aren't there. So for me, this has been quite a big adjustment. So yeah, it's trying to. I feel like I've tried to look into videos about how to thrive in solitude and be okay by being yourself, being alone. I did see a video by Captain Sinbad, which I like that guy quite a lot.
Oh yeah, I like him as well. He's a good guy.
it's just funny videos. But he did a video a while ago, and he talked about like a book he read about solitude. It's like one of the main things he talked about is you got to plan out your day. It's like you have to, because if you plan out your day, you'll think of yourself as, you know, the commander of your own ship, rather than just like aiming, you know, aimlessly floating in the tides and things are happening to you, which you have to proactively make stuff happen, which that's helped a lot. So you can't just making sure you have things you know you need to do instead of just waking up and thinking, oh, who knows what's going to happen, and being reactive. You have to being proactive has definitely helped me try to keep it a bit more balanced. Balance is everything right now. Like balancing exercise, eating right, talking to my friends socially on like video calls, playing games with them, whatever it is, balancing these things. Watching Netflix, doing bits of language. You know, if you do too much of one, like I spent, I downloaded Skyrim, right, and I spent 2 days straight playing that game, and it's like, you know, too much of one thing became bad eventually, and it did. But yeah, man, jeez, it's a crazy world. The idea that we're gonna just go back to uni next year, or so in some form, and this will just be a thing that had happened. It's ridiculous to think about, really.
I'd say that also the media nowadays is posting a lot of negative stuff about the coronavirus, the death toll, and I think that is having a negative influence on people's mental health, and really leading to it deteriorating at a far more rapid rate than it otherwise would. And so I think limiting exposure to that to the extent that's necessary, is definitely a good thing, because I think that can have a really negative toll and really heavy impact on your mindset and how you're feeling at the time, I think. What do you think about this?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, for sure, like every day you look in, it's like literally from even when it was still in China, this virus, like they've been reporting deaths every day, basically. The thing about this, I remember even in like January, like I had this alarm where when the alarm would go off, I'd get like news underneath that day's news. Then all of a sudden, every day was new virus found in China. Right, so I've seen this like progression has gone from this new virus that's found in China of 2 people who died to like something that hasn't happened in this country for over 100 years. Like this is insane. The idea, you know, if you told yourself a year ago this is gonna happen, you'd be like, yeah. It's insane, really. It's a struggle for people as well. Especially if you've got family members. Like I've got a grandmother, and it's just worrying about, like, you know, me getting it given to her. It's quite terrifying, to be honest. It's there's definitely new struggles, and the social distancing is really an adjustment to make, especially like before you're allowed out and exercising. It was like staying indoors all day, like especially because I've gone from being in my Brighton house to being with my parents. So I've moved around quite a bit. Well, I've travelled to help look after my grandmother, but I've gone from Brighton back home, and I much preferred it when I was with my family, when I was around people, than when I was in my own flat, because, you know, it's just a much more. I was talking to my parents a lot, obviously, and I felt more comfortable than I was in my flat when I was, you know, there's other people, but there's not that kind of, don't talk that much. So that was a big thing for me, big thing for me. So about a month after being in Brighton, I just came back because I couldn't hack it, to be honest. Solitude. How's your situation?
It's okay, I think. We're just spending a lot of time indoors nowadays. That's really getting at my mental state, I think. But it's okay now, I think. Now that I've started meditating, now that I've started going out more slightly, going for walks, definitely helps, because then you can contemplate what's on your mind and see it for what it is, rather than, because I've noticed that when you leave thoughts in your mind typically tends to over exaggerate them and distort them and turn them into something that they're really not. But when you spend time contemplating these things, you come to a solution and come to an understanding of what needs to be done in order to overcome these things. But it's been okay, really. It's not too bad. I know that some people are definitely having a lot harder than me, and so I'm definitely grateful to God for that.
Yeah, man. You're right about getting outside, getting into nature. Like even today, like I was feeling a bit like today, the last few days I've had this kind of I've been feeling all right, almost like, you know, I've been watching something, enjoying myself, watching a YouTube video, laughing. It's like I've just got this underlying kind of, I don't know, niggling feeling of like discontent and worry, which has kind of been getting at me. But I don't know, you know, walked around the local park and saw getting into nature, and that really helped me a lot. So that's what's been keeping people going. Like the walks, you know, especially at the beginning of the lockdown, where that's all you could do, like having a run or the walk, like that's keeps me going. The exercise, when I first did the lockdown, me and my brother every day would find all these new different workouts to do together, and that kept us going. Like I don't know where I'd be without doing the exercise. But seriously, like that's what's keep people going. I guess that's why the government did you're allowed the one exercise a day rule, because they know otherwise people would just go crazy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a helping factor. I think I need to need to get more exercises in as well, man, because I've been lacking in that department. But I think meditation and spending time outside is definitely helping me a lot. Yeah, a hell of a lot, to be honest.
Yeah. How's your injuries, by the way?
It was okay. It's not too bad at the moment. I think it's going to take time to improve. Like I said, I've got some tendonitis, but it should be okay, to be honest. Spending time, I have to minimize my time on the laptop, minimize my time doing anything that's repetitive, because it's a repetitive strain injury, so you definitely want to minimize that. But overall, if I limit the minimization, no, limit, what am I talking about? Limit the aggravation, limit the aggravation, limit the extent to which I'm aggravating it, go outside, keep my mental health in check, go for walks, have some meditation, talk to friends and family over the phone. Should be all okay, man. It's looking okay for the future, I think.
I've never thought like video calls have become one of the main things in my life, but they have been recently. Like calling friends, like that's been, especially calling my parents as well. When I'm not with them, like that's been a big deal. Like because at the start of the lockdown, I wasn't doing that much, because I'm not really the kind of person who talks on the phone that much when I was at uni. Like I just didn't really happen. But now, since I've been making an effort to reach out and talk to people, like when we set this thing up, it was just. I thought about doing a podcast. Just shot it to you, just out of the blue. It's just like reaching out to someone on Facebook, just saying, "Oh, how are you?" You know, it makes a difference. It really makes that. I've talked to people that I wouldn't have talked to if this lockdown didn't happen. And you know, for me, I feel like I have to. Very often, people don't like, for whatever reason, people usually don't reach out to other people. So I feel like if it's going to happen, I have to be the one to extend the olive branch most times. And that's made a big difference for me. It's been worth it. It really is. Like no one remembers how you start talking to someone. People just remember that you talk to someone. Like no one remembers how you meet someone. You just, you know, you don't remember that. You just remember that you're friends. So, you know, even if it's a bit, just send hello in the message. Like it seems a bit like it can seem a bit like, well, you don't want to worry them, but right now I really don't think you're going to be disturbing them from that much. Like, definitely not. How did you think the uni exams helped you kind of stay busy?
Yeah, I think they were definitely good, man, because when you're faced with this situation in lockdown, then there's not a lot for you to do actually. When you have something to keep you going, something to motivate you, something to keep you on schedule, something to give you a routine, then that keeps your mental health in check. Like Dr. Jordan Peterson says, you need a routine, you need a schedule, you need something to keep you going overall. When you put time in and you know that you have something to do, then you're going to do that thing, and that's going to allow your mind to divert itself away from all the suffering and all the negativity that's in the world and towards something that's not as bad. Although you may have a little bit of stress and anxiety related to exams, when you're busy doing that, you're usually thinking about, oh, how do I solve this problem? How can I do this next problem? How can I figure this out? And when it's taking up a large proportion of your day, it really helps from like diverting your mind away from all the bad stuff towards something that's less bad overall.
I guess that's one of the main problems with the lockdown is, Peterson's thing is we have to have responsibility, and that's definitely true, because right now, what our responsibilities are not dying. Like, we don't have like I even notice now, because it's just me and my grandmother, and I'm like the one who has to do the cooking and the cleaning and everything. And even that little bit of responsibility is helping make you feel way better. Just having stuff to do. Because otherwise, what is it? You have the responsibility to survive right now. That's it. Like, we're just surviving right now very often. It's not like, I don't think anyone can truly thrive right now. People can, but like most people, it's just you've got to get by. And it's very weird. I mean, nothing like this has happened in our lives, and it's going to define the next decade. It's affecting the economy, and it's affecting, I mean, people probably needed to come back down to earth a bit, because we've become quite soft as a generation, but I'm not sure if this is the way to do it. Speaking of, are you watching Netflix at all? Because I have found like finding new shows has been good. Because if there's never been a better time with all this technology to have nothing to do, to be honest. And using, if there's ever a time to spend all day watching YouTube on Netflix, it's now. Like, and I know it's important to be productive, and I really, I try to be as productive as I can and be better than yesterday. But right now I feel like, especially towards the end, these last few weeks, it's like, if I feel like watching a movie, just watch the movie. It's not important. As long as I do something throughout the day. For me, it's more important to stay happy than it is to just to keep like going than it is to necessarily be 100% productivity. And also, I don't even know what to do really. That's the thing. It's like if I had something that I really thought I should be doing, then I would do it. Except for exercise and learning the language, I haven't really thought about much that I could be doing all the time. Except for the podcast has been good because it's been something to focus on.
Yeah, this is definitely good, man. So what kind of habits have you been into building recently? Just the learning and just the exercising, or you're not focusing on anything else in particular?
Well, I'm trying to keep up the cold showers.
Okay.
Do you have cold showers? I can't remember.
Yeah, I do it sometimes. It's a little bit of trouble breathing in the shower, though. When the water hits you.
Yeah, man. That's kind of I've had so many conversations with people about cold showers, and people will be like, "What the hell?" They think I'm talking about like the moon being made of cheese or flat Earth society. It's like, you have a cold shower. Why would you do that? It's like it's not comfortable, but that's kind of the point. It's just it's called eustress. So eustress. It's like you have distress and you have eustress. So like this positive stress that makes you stronger. It won't hurt you, right? The sort of stresses that won't hurt us, but it makes us better. So the cold shower is one of those things. It's not going to hurt you. You'll be fine. But facing that discomfort, the unknown of a cold shower, oh God, what's it going to be like? The thing is, even though I've done probably 300 cold showers, it's like you still have that kind of, just before you get in, that nervous feeling of the unknown and discomfort. So it's fighting against that's a big deal. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. I actually met there's a YouTuber called Richard Yu who I met. He came to Sussex for a semester abroad. He's from the States. He's now got a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers. So he's quite a big deal now. But I talked to him. He's the only guy I ever found who took cold showers. Like,
wow.
Never found anyone else who took cold showers. I know people who know Peace. I know people who like the same people I like, but I've never seen anyone. And we clicked straight away. And I just knew this guy was going places, and then within a year, he's like his mentor's Vince Del Monte, who's like a millionaire business guy. Like,
wow.
He's gone places. Like, I knew he was going places, but it's been mad quick. I was listening to him on a podcast, a few weeks ago. There is a great podcast called the Born to Impact podcast, which if you ever listen to, is really good. It's about two men who have been very successful in business, and I recommend anyone to give it a listen. It's one of the better podcasts I've ever heard. So Born to Impact, I definitely recommend it. But so that was crazy. That's the only the cold showers thing's very weird, but it's just one of those things. Like, there's always these trends on there's like a self-improvement space on YouTube, isn't there? A kind of weird community, and they had cold showers, NoFap, Peterson, Goggins, they had all these big crazes. They're like the next big thing right now it's dopamine detox.
Oh yeah, I've seen that recently.
And I've tried doing it, and to be honest, when the lockdown's over, I will be doing that kind of stuff. But right now, it's like I tried. I said, okay, I won't use my phone, but go on the laptop. So what am I gonna do? Like, I can't spend all day reading a book. So right now might not be quite the time to do that. But that's a great. I love that idea. The idea that we're so overstimulated by all like we evolved in a time where we were like hunting, mammoths and stuff. Like the idea of like watching YouTube, it's just a signal. It's like a hyper stimulus that we're not used to, and it messes up our circuit. And I think taking time away from the internet is a great thing. I've asked people, like I've actually said to people, like, if I could, it's kind of ironic because I'm talking to you over the internet, but if is the internet good or bad overall as a whole package? Like, I don't know if it's good or bad overall because I think it's got a lot of negative effects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if the positives are really enough to outweigh the negatives.
Mm-hmm.
I think the internet, stuff like Instagram, TikTok, especially right now, I think it's affecting our mental health quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you, man, because I've been contemplating whether or not the internet is a good thing or a bad thing as well for a while. I've noticed that when I spend large amount of times on the internet, then I usually overthink things too much. I read all these news articles, all these studies. I look at people's opinions as to whether or not something is good and that kind of derails everything I already have in place. And so I don't take the action that's necessary to accomplish my goals for the day, nor do I stick to a routine. And everything just goes haywire as a result of that. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I've noticed that on the days where I'm not on the internet, when I've spoken to one of my close friends recently, and he actually recommended that I put my phone away, I just store it away for a few seconds, put it on silent, look at it at the beginning of the day, and look at it at the end of the day. And when you do that, that just makes a massive, massive impact because you spend way more time being productive. You spend way more time focusing on the things that need your attention. And it just makes you feel so positive because then you have confidence in your own abilities and you know that even though people may not necessarily agree with what you're doing, everything will be okay in the end because you have confidence and faith in your own abilities, and there aren't people on the internet that are just doubting you or judging you or making you feel like you can't do what you want to do or be the person you want to be.
Yeah, to be honest, the thing for me is like I have Facebook because you kind of need it for uni for like group chats and like societies, but I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter, so like I'm not really. People say, "Oh, I deleted Twitter and it was so good." It's like I never got it. So for me, it's like it's a kind of a different thing for me because locking away my phone isn't necessarily an answer because I use my laptop to watch YouTube a lot. So it's almost like at the beginning of lockdown, when I saw the videos about the dopamine fast or detox, I blocked YouTube for a portion of the day, and that actually worked really well. But there is part of the thing where it's like it's like, okay, put your phone away and do the work you should do. It's like I don't have work. I think I don't have that much work that I think, okay, I should be doing this instead. It's like once I've done a bit like an hour of languages and exercise, I really don't know that much else I should be doing right now. So like I just, once I've done those two things, I relax. Like, now if you shouldn't force it. I mean, if you can't think of anything worthwhile doing, like maybe I need more imagination. But since uni's finished, I feel like I haven't actually got that many things to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm thinking to become more productive and work harder is not like to be more disciplined and not to be more motivated. Is to have the best environment. So you can't, the way to not use your phone isn't to have good willpower and resist temptation. It's to lock it away. That's the way to do it. That's how, like, they've done studies where, like, they did a study where they had like a marshmallow in front of a kid, right? They said, "Don't eat the marshmallow."
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Okay, yeah, it's true. It's a good video. I've seen. It's what I've learned again, I think. But so these kids have a marshmallow in front of them. It says, "Don't eat for 10 minutes, and I'll give you 2 marshmallows." So most kids fail, and the ones that don't are the ones who like pretend it's not there or can't. Like the way to do that is just to throw it away. Like it's like if you think I don't want to play my games anymore, it's like okay, let's say your thing is you're addicted to Netflix. Just delete Netflix. Stop paying for it. Or like if you're addicted to your phone, like put it in the drawer so you can't see it, outside out of mind, or even if it's really bad, lock the drawer. Like have once you don't have access to it, it's not like I wish I had access. You almost just forget it's there. Because that's the best way to do it. And like to become when the lockdown ends and we go back to university and when you want to become more productive again, I think the way is just by making your environment that's suited for you to be working harder. It's the same with diet, I think. Like, you know, the reason I don't eat any like sweets is because I don't buy it. Like when I'm at Aldi, I don't buy unhealthy foods. Because if they were there, I eat them. Like right now, there's crisps in the cupboard. I eat the crisps. It's there, I'm gonna eat it. It's like that's why I don't buy it. So yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not about necessarily being all the disciplines and have the most willpower and motivation, because those things run out eventually. So just creating the environment, because if you've got nothing, you know, if you don't go on YouTube, you can't go on YouTube, you can't go on your phone, you get bored and you're like, oh, I guess I'll read then. So you actually start to enjoy reading a book, which, you know, compared to the internet, your brain thinks, oh, why would I bother reading a book?
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with you on that bit. I've noticed that I've definitely been doing what you're doing, and I've been locking my phone away recently. As of today, I've just kept it here though because I've needed to contact you for this podcast. But locking away the things that you don't need and the things that are going to be counterproductive it's definitely very, very helpful, because when you don't have that option and it's not there, you can't go on your phone. You can't go and eat that junk food that you're craving or wanted to do. Or if you wanted to play some video games and you've uninstalled the browser or uninstalled the the actual application that allows you to play it, then you don't have that option there. You can't go and do it. Also, I've noticed that when you increase the resistance, if you want to take that one step further, if you increase the resistance to an activity, the probability that you're going to partake in that activity decreases. So let's say you're having problems with video games. You know video games are bad for you. They're consuming a large proportion of your day, and you want to get rid of that negative habit. How do you do it? What you do is uninstall video games entirely. You then download the application called Cold Turkey. Cold Turkey then allows you to block yourself from re-downloading it, and it's basically impossible for you because of that to download it. And I've done that, and that's just been a major help for me. And I think that's going to help a lot of other people as well if they listen to this.
That's definitely true, because that's such a big deal. Like if you ask people, you know, the difference between some people and others is people work, especially at uni. The people who get the high grades, it's like the people who work, because, you know, most people at uni got around the same grades in the same subject. So the intelligence won't be that, the IQ range won't be that wide. You know, people are relatively similar, right? And the people who get the best grades, the top half isn't just smarter than the bottom half. It's like people putting more hours into it and working smarter as well. So that's for sure. Like, you know, there's a Chrome add-on you can get called Block Mode or something, where you can have like a work time where these websites like YouTube and all these websites, they're blocked from 9 till 5. So then you can go back on them at 5. Because if you just say, I'm not watching anything ever, you probably won't stick to it. So sometimes it's like, I'll watch YouTube after 5 after I've done everything.
Yeah, Jack Franks does that. Cold Turkey has helped me with that. That's an ad blocker as well you can refer to.
Okay, I haven't done Cold Turkey, but I have heard of it. Have you seen, is his name Jack Kirby, the guy who did the detox video?
He's not sure. Everyone's been on that recently, to be honest. It's just like a spread everywhere.
It's funny because I saw a video on that a year ago, like 2 years ago, with Improvement Pill. So I guess it's just one of those things. But yeah, I guess there's all these crazes in the self-improvement world, but I do think it's good. Like for me personally, one thing I did this morning is like, when I sleep, when I go to bed, I always look at my phone on YouTube for like an hour before I go to bed. And then also when I get up, I'll watch, like I'll wake up at 8, but I won't get out of bed till 10 because I'm watching YouTube. So today I left my phone downstairs. So when I got up, I was like, oh, this is boring. So I actually got up and got ready. It's way better. The thing for me is I've always listened to something like to help me go to sleep for a long time. So it's quite hard to sleep without listening to something, but hopefully I can get past that. But yeah, that's helped me a lot today. So I got up early, got up at like 8, got everything done, started cleaning and stuff. So that's just not having your phone there. Honestly, I honestly feel like if phones didn't exist, like I don't think it's improved society. Like people say, oh, you can talk to a friend who's in Australia. It's like, how much time do you spend using the internet for something that's really useful that you couldn't do anyway? And how much time is it used for fucking Instagram likes, fucking all this shit? TikTok was fucking TikTok. You know, I've heard that game. I've heard that like that's more addictive than any of the other social medias because it's quite a new thing. TikTok. I don't have it, but I've heard it's more addictive than any of them. So I haven't got it, but fucking
I think
social media, man.
I think that these companies are hiring the smartest people in the world to make sure that you stay on the app for consistently and for a ridiculously long period of time. So I would recommend deleting that app. You know that app that I'm talking about, that app that's causing you to spend 2, 3, and maybe even 4+ hours on it a day. And that adds up over time. You can do the calculation yourself. You can see how many hours you're wasting a week, how many hours you're wasting a month, how many hours you're wasting a year, and how you can figure out from there how much better off you would be as a result of allocating that time elsewhere. So because of the fact that these companies are hiring the smartest people in the world to ensure that you stay on the application for a prolonged period of time, don't play their game. Delete the app, uninstall it, and as a result of that, you're going to be way, way better off.
It's not even funny. Like they hire attention engineers, basically. That's what they're called. Like everything about the way they actually designed are to get you to be addicted to it. Not because no one wants to admit that social media is addictive. Because people think of the word addictive, they think of alcohol, they think of drugs. They don't think of how could you be addicted to Facebook or Instagram? It's just Instagram. It's like if you tell someone don't go on your phone for a day, it'll be hard. You're addicted. If you can't not do something, then you're addicted. So, for me, I admitted I was addicted to watching YouTube. And that was a big step once you admit to yourself that you do this. I've watched YouTube since I was like 10 or something. Ridiculous. Since I was, maybe not 10. Maybe since I was in secondary school, so 13, 14. But that's a long time. And I've never thought of it as something that's bad. But then once I realised it was getting in between myself and my goals, I started blocking it then I put more work into my exams after that. But when they have the icons, they have the red logo with the numbers in it. That's red, red's the colour that will make you click the most. The reason the notifications pop up on your phone and make the noise is the trigger. So you hear the noise and you get a dopamine response. It's literally engineered to make you addicted to it. So like on WhatsApp, I don't have a noise anymore. So if anyone messages me and I don't reply, that's why I don't have a noise. Like, because if you get rid of the trigger, you don't actually. Because that's the thing, like that. Because when you message someone, you get and someone messages you back, you get a dopamine hit. So it's the same thing. It's the same chemical that's responsible for like alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, junk food addiction. It's like. And like mental health, since the internet's been introduced, mental health or like depression statistics and suicide statistics have like doubled in the last like 20 years or something. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think social media and the internet is a reason for that. Like my grandmother, the internet didn't exist when she was younger. The world still the world still went round. The internet isn't this, we have Pandora's box has been opened, so the internet's not going anywhere, but it's not just because it's been here for all of our lives doesn't mean it's right. I don't think anyone ever questions that enough, really.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I think this is why experimentation is so important. I've learned this from fitness YouTuber Jax Blade, and he says experimentation is so important. Everybody is different and reacts differently. So what may not necessarily be good for you may be good for someone else. What advice works for you may not necessarily work for someone else. So you have to go out there, you have to be willing to put in the work, you have to experiment and see how these small changes affect your life and record those changes. If it's affecting your life positively, that's great. You should continue doing that then. If it's not affecting your life so well, that's okay. Just move on, leave it there, and just record that for the future so you can refer back to it. So like the advice we're giving here, it may work for you or it may not. So there's a quote that Bruce Lee says that goes along the lines of, well, take what's good and leave what's not. So that's really something that's necessary for everyone watching this podcast, I think. Just take what's good, take what you like, see if it works for you, and hopefully it does.
Yeah, there's a load of great Bruce Lee quotes. Like he had a quote, like, the only thing good about belts is to keep your trousers up, because everyone like, because that's the thing about kung fu. I did kung fu in uni, and like I did karate as a kid, and you had to pay for the new belt. There's 25 belts. It's like, it always pissed me off. But like Bruce Lee's got some great quotes. He's like also like, be like water, like just adapt to your environment, and if a water isn't a cup, it becomes the cup, whatever. So yeah, Bruce Lee's what a guy. But learning from these great figures is really is a great thing, because there are honestly figures that, I mean, I get, people who are in self-improvement, they will idolize people, but like there are certain people who've like reading their books has changed my life somewhat, and in a big way. I mean, people like Jordan Peterson, people like David Goggins, there's other people that I can't remember right now, but it's just like, that's just like, there's the saying like, you're the product of your 3 closest friends, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you read all these books from these great people, they become your mentors instead of just the people around you. And that's just, trust me, having someone like that be the person who rubs off on you is just way better than just following the herd and being a sheep like everyone else. There's a great quote from Oscar Wilde, which is, everything popular is wrong. Which I love that quote, because so many times I've looked into a subject more, and the things that have gone round society as like what most people think is the right thing to do is very often the exact opposite of what you should do in most topics. There's quite a lot of examples, but like you can start anywhere. Like, most people have like 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So there's no science that suggests that you need that. That's just how we do it, right? Like the gym, most people do body part splits, like chest day, arm day. It's like that's not the best way to train either. The things that are seen as the right way are very often not. It's also another quote. It's like, if you find your side on the side of the majority, pause and reflect, which is true. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, usually there's a chance you might be wrong. Obviously, that's the reason there's pause and reflect, because it's not necessarily wrong. Because right now, if you're social distancing, you're doing what everyone else is doing. But there's a good reason for that. So don't, yeah. But what's if you could say like the best book, or the book that's made the biggest impact on you? That's a very hard question, isn't it?
There's a lot of good books that I've read recently. For me personally, I'd say the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Oh man, that's a mad book. I've never read it, but I've heard some people
need to read that book. You need to read that book. Meditations. Yeah. I've read like some of the books you say. I like David Goggins' book. I need to read the Jordan Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life. I've heard really good things about that. But I've read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I have it just sitting here. And
yeah. I haven't read it, man.
And I'd recommend it to a lot of people. It's the Meditations, so it's the diary of this Roman emperor, and he's into the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism is just a great mindset and philosophy to have.
Yeah.
It allows you to look at the world from a different perspective and see how actually you can turn negative things into positive things by viewing them in a different light. When you do that, it just allows you to turn every obstacle into fuel. And when you turn every obstacle into fuel, it's just going to supercharge your life and just send you flying in the trajectory that you want to be going in.
Stoicism is probably another one of these things that I've read about, but like I haven't applied it to. Well, I mean, I've not applied it to my life in the extent that I could do. So I probably should read that book right now. I'm reading a great book by Benito Mazzaro. That's not how you say it. But he's very philosophical. It's not really self-help or psychology. It's very philosophical, and he talks a lot about, because a very big thing about philosophy is being present right now. And it's a book. It's very, very, very hard to talk. If I mention what the book's about, it would probably sound really weird, but that's a great book. What Also reading The Way of Men, which has been an interesting read. Talks about tribes and all that stuff. I won't go into too much detail because I'll trigger some feminists. But the best book. I'll tell you what. Actually, this book's right here, right? There's a book called Higher Status by Jason Capital. That book, it just happens to be there. I didn't even plan that.
Mhm.
That's a great book. It's just this is this guy on YouTube, right? But it's a book called Higher Status, all about he analyzes people in the top of companies, the bosses, and how they behave compared to everyone else. So it does posture, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, like your mannerisms, basically analyzes all different people and finds out the way that they are similar. And it's a great book because, you know, when people interact socially, hierarchies do form, and some people become leaders and some people don't. And becoming a leader has always been something I've been really aspired to do. So learning more about that that's really what started me off on the whole self-improvement journey. So I definitely recommend that book. And that's a book, like, I read that book for 6 months to a year to apply all of the stuff in that book. Like, I read other books as well, but like if you read that in a day and put it down, you're not changing at all. So trying to improve your posture and walking differently than you did before, that takes ages. That took ages. Like that's not something you can just read and absorb. Like that's a really annoying habit to create. Creating habits can be really hard. So, you know, if you read a great book, you don't just read it and put it down and go, oh, that's great. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, my mic just fell over there. Don't just put it down and go on to live the same life you always left, because the book, there could be great content on the book, but you won't know if you just read it and forget about it later. You have to really, really try hard, because changing the way you live is very difficult. Oh, and yeah, another idea I'd like to talk about what's his name, Jack Kirby? This YouTuber's got very big recently. He talks about humans are always looking for the path of least resistance, and that's why putting your phone in the box and locking it is the best way to do it, because we do what's the easiest thing, and the easiest thing is to use our phone. It's not because we think that's the best, it's just the easiest thing. So make the easiest thing reading a book or doing something else. So yeah, that's a great video. I remember that. We're going about 52 minutes.
52 or 58?
It's 52 for me.
Interesting.
Is it 58?
Mine says 58.
Okay, well it shouldn't. Wait, is yours recording too?
I think so. No, mine's not recording. You're recording, but then.
Oh yeah. Well, we had
58.
Well, we had 5 minutes before the call started recording.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if anyone's still listening, 52 minutes in, you're a champ. Like, send me a message, like, legend.
Great people.
Yeah, man. To be honest, if 10 people see this and enjoy it, then that is worth doing. But this hopefully will be a more regular thing. Weekly, maybe right now. I don't really know.
I think weekly would be a good idea, definitely.
And then hopefully we'll get guests on eventually. Because having deep, meaningful conversations like this, it really gets me inspired. I love doing it, and I crave it. Like I'll phone up my parents, and they'll just they just want to just chit chat, and I'll start talking about what do you think about what do you think about meditations from Marcus Aurelius or something. And I'll be like, what do you think about the theory of being present and the power of now by this guy or whatever? Yeah, I'm very into deep conversations. I don't really just shoot the breeze much. How's the weather? The weather's great, by the way. Kind of wasting it's in indoors.
It's great weather, man.
The weather's saved this lockdown, to be honest. Like, can you imagine if it's been raining this whole time? People would be even more depressed than they are now.
Yeah, but then for me, the opposite happens. I I like the rain more than I like sunshine. Sunshine is good, right?
That's in Goggins stuff, or is that?
No, I just genuinely like it. It's so peaceful, calming, relaxing, and when it happens, I just feel like I have greater mental clarity and I feel so much better. But sunshine's also good though. I definitely enjoy the sunshine, but I think to a similar level. So I'm good all round. I think some people definitely like that though.
I love the sunshine. I think I'd have to live, like I'd love to live in somewhere like LA, like somewhere or somewhere like Spain, like somewhere like that's, because I feel like great weather. It's a better world when it's sunny like this. I mean, maybe it's just in England because you're happy when it's sunny because it doesn't happen that often. It's happening more often now, but growing up, like a sunny day would be, summer would be like which day is summer? Oh, it's the 17th of July. So yeah, I love the sunny weather. Getting out into the sun. Like a lot of people are vitamin D deficient, so walks in the sun are really underrated.
Yeah.
Brits only really go into the sun to get a tan, to be honest. But oh man, it's a weird world. You know, like they've got sport with empty stadiums and stuff now.
Do they? Oh wow.
Yeah, like football, Arsenal friggin' lost twice. Lost to Brighton and Man City. I'm gutted.
It's unfortunate, man.
Yeah, man. But
don't want to digress too much though.
No.
Let's stay on topic.
But one thing I've always been very interested in is like thinking about the evolution of how our mind has evolved, and the reason we behave the way we behave is because we did evolve to live in this world, really, the way the world is right now, with the buildings, the internet, the technology. Our brain wasn't designed to live in this world. It was designed to live in a world where we were in like tribes of like 100 people. We went out and hunted, had like, groups of people, no internet, no phone calls, no radio, no TV. Like these are all new things. And our brain, like especially the dopamine circuit, which is honestly such an important thing. It's the complete reward system of the brain. It's the reason we do anything. Like, they had this experiment where they didn't give a rat any dopamine, and it wouldn't walk 1 meter to get water when it was thirsty. It just stayed in bed or stayed lying down. Like they stimulated a rat's brain and gave it constant dopamine, and it would like every time it clicked a button, it would get dopamine. It will click the button until it passes out. Like so, the dopamine circuit in the brain is just understanding that, and like how the internet and all these things and phones and TV and all these things that they weren't around, and our brain doesn't know how to handle it. Because if you think consciously, what is the best thing for me to do? You always have to fight against your own brain to get there. So if you just did the path of least resistance and just did what you were compelled to do all the time, you wouldn't get out of bed. You'd just watch YouTube all day or whatever social media of choice. It's like, yeah, I feel like our biggest battle we ever have is against ourselves, to be honest.
But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have you can actually utilize these things for good. For instance, you could utilize the internet to learn more about Spanish. If it's your case, you can utilize the internet to learn more about how to become fitter, how to become healthier. I think people don't realize the level of knowledge that's available out there today is something that our ancestors would have died for. People would die for this knowledge. People are trying to figure out how to get healthier, how to get fitter, how to get smarter. Nowadays, it's all a click of the button away. We can get it easily, and we can get it just like that. So easy. When Netflix isn't even that bad. If you do it in moderation, it can be okay. And there are definitely good Netflix shows which I think are of good quality, inspiring, motivating. Like there's one show that came on recently that I've actually been watching recently, and I think it's called Useful Procrastination for me, because it's inspiring me, it's motivating me, and it's getting me ready to get up and go out there and accomplish my goals. We have The Last Dance by Michael Jordan. That is a hell of a show, man. You should watch that.
That's good. I haven't watched it. I'm actually a really big basketball fan.
I'm not either.
That's the thing. I've been a Boston Celtics fan for about 5 years, and I'm well aware of Michael Jordan and how amazing he was in the 90s. But I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I'm struggling not to keep watching. I've limited myself to 1 episode a day or 2 episodes a day, because one is like 50 minutes. But it's so addicting and so inspiring and so motivating. So I'm just gonna get that hit of motivation, get up and go and accomplish my goals to the best of my ability.
That's true. Like there was a show called Suits I used to watch on Netflix where that would always motivate. Seeing all these smart lawyers in suits, that motivated me to get my shit together and get up early working. So yeah, it's like even if it's a TV show, it can be an influence. It can get you turned up, because sometimes you need that, whether it's music or watching a TV show. But there's a cool show, but instead of just going through our Netflix histories, like I watch Netflix in Spanish to try to learn. So I kind of half watch and half be working at the same time. Obviously with English subtitles right now, because not fuck. But it's funny because I've been doing this good app called Pimsleur for like 2 weeks now. But I did Duolingo for like a month before that, but Duolingo is shit, so it didn't really do much. Honestly, I know people use it, people like it, but I've used this app that I paid for, and for 14 days, and I've learned more in those 14 days than I did in a month of Duolingo or 2 months of Duolingo. So like when I first started watching Spanish TV shows, I would understand nothing, but now I'm almost understanding a decent amount. Weirdly, it's really weird. Like in 3 months, I should hopefully be able to watch them without subtitles, which is ridiculous. I think learning a language right now has been great, especially right now in the lockdown. That's never been a better time to learn a language. That there's great resources out there, like, and now it's really set me off. Like, I want to learn other languages afterwards, after I've finished with Spanish. When I'm older, I want to be able to be like a polyglot. It's also be able to talk to all these people from different languages. That's definitely something I've become very interested in, and that would not have happened without the lockdown. So I guess that's like a silver lining about the lockdown, for sure, man. I guess we could wrap this up. It's been an hour.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. We think we should get wrapping this up now.
This is still kind of not completely comfortable in this. We're still kind of adjusting to the podcast. It's gone quite well. It went quite well. It's gone quite well. But we're still, I feel like as a podcast we do more, we could almost forget we're recording and just talk. Luckily on my screen, I do see a timer, which constantly reminding me that I'm recording, which is a bit annoying, but anyway.
No, I feel like I'm just on a call with you, man. I feel like we're discussing topics like at school.
You can't. The thing is, like, when me and you talk, like, if we recorded it, it's a good podcast. So that's the thing. We just got to try to forget other people are here. I mean, we can get other people on the podcast from our course, or we try to get some of the professors on. I know I've been trying to get Richard on it. I haven't asked him, but that'd be cool.
That would be definitely good.
Just to talk to interesting people and learn about their story and their challenges and what they've learned over their lives. That's why I like self-help books, because very often when someone writes a self-help book, they're telling you about the main thing that's improved their life. Like Peterson, Peterson's family suffers from depression. So when he's talking about an antidote to chaos, he's talking about stuff that's helped him and helped his clients, fight against depression and stuff like that. So I'd love to write a book one day. I don't know what I'd write it about, but
same for me, man. But we're still in the learning process, and hopefully some of our insights can help the people watching this podcast, I think.
Yeah. And it's not like we've got all the answers, because I'm very much just, you're never too old to learn, you're never too young to teach, but I definitely haven't got all this shit figured out. I'm very much right now in the lockdown, I'm day by day just trying to get by. But I've enjoyed this podcast. I've always liked the idea of podcasts. I've always loved watching Joe Rogan, love watching True Geordie podcast. There's all these great waffling podcasts with Joe Weller recently, if anyone. I've really enjoyed the podcast. They've become a new thing, and I thought I could always be good at that, but I've never really committed to doing one. But hopefully we can make this a thing, do it weekly, hopefully, maybe more, but to take it one step at a time. We'll have hopefully better cameras and better quality eventually. I've got a really good webcam this in Brighton. It'll be 1080p, great quality this in Brighton.
It's a shame, man.
This might be quite blurry, but things will level up. Things will level up. So we could end this here if you wanted.
Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, we could end this now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think this is it's a good time to end it now. Then I think.
So we won't end the call. I'll just click stop recording. So.
Okay.
If we just do our so. Anyone who's still watching, thank you very much. Like, you're a trooper. Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. We seriously appreciate it, and hopefully we can bring you more insights and more knowledge as time goes by.
Yeah, thank you. And subscribe. I don't know if this is going on YouTube. Okay, if it is going on YouTube, like, subscribe, peace. Put it in the comments if you're watching the end. So yeah, for me and Amir, I guess we should say thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys.